Hello everyone, I am Bets Golden. Welcome to my channel, and today I am having some fun with the new paper Glitz from Picket Fences, as well as their new colors in their paper glaze line. Now, I am including everything possible on this video for you. I just sped it up. I tried to delete out a lot of just the boring watching paint dry or texture, or I should say paper glaze dry in this. But I wanted you just to see the full process. And this is a play session that I had with the new products by Picket Fences. I have not ever used these glazes, this Glitz before. I had plans, and throughout the video, my plans changed. But I thought it was important that you saw everything I did so that you could make an educated determination on if this is something that you want or need in your stash. The first thing I'm making here is a background for Halloween using the paper Glitz. This is a new one, and it dries a little bit differently than I had anticipated. I thought that it would be transparent, but wait until the end of the video when you'll see how it dries. It was gorgeous. So next up, I'm going to do some color blending. The paper that I'm using is a heavy duty watercolor paper. Down below, I do have listed for you the paper glitzes and the paper glazes that I'm using because they're all new, as well as the Simon Hurley inks. I did not list all the stencils that I used because really I want you to experiment with the stencils that you have in your stash before going out and buying something. But if you want to know a particular stencil that I'm using, please ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll try to find you the direct source. A lot of these are so old that I don't know if they're still available, but I'll do my best to locate them for you or something that is like them. So for this one, I am just blending in the Gur, and I think that this is Over the Moon, spritzing it with a little bit of water to get it to move. And the cool thing is with dye ink, if you spritz it with water, it softens it, and then you can even lift some of that ink up, which is really neat. I'm just using a Tim Holtz Halloween stencil on this. My intention is to make a tag with it eventually, but I wanted to see how this laid through. And this is the new Glitz. And as you can see, once you open it up, you do want to give it a little bit of a stir, just in case some of your glitter has settled to the bottom of the pot. What I like about this is it's a combination between your colored medium that the glitter is sitting in, as well as the colored glitter. Sometimes you'll have different glitter type spreads that either have clear glitter or white glitter or translucent type glitter in a colored texture paste, or you will have a colored glitter in a clear medium, like a clear base. So I think that this is pretty cool because both the paste, or the glaze I should say, and the glitter is the same color or complementary of the color. Now I'm going to lift this up, and it was a surprise to me. I'm pretty satisfied with how that turned out. As you can tell, it bled into some places, but overall it held its shape fairly well. There is this new thing out, and it is an enhancer. This is supposed to be used for the glaze, but I like to push the envelope, so I'm going to use it with this paper Glitz again, just to see how it interacts with this and what it does differently to the color. I did prepare that particular panel off screen because it's the same color and the same technique that you just saw me do it. And there's so much going on in this video that I didn't want to waste your time with anything unnecessary. So this is a really pretty one. And I'm just mixing it up off on my craft mat like so. And then I'm going to run it through the same stencil so you can see how it held its shape, if it held its shape any differently, and the color difference. And again, at the end of the video, I did let everything sit overnight so that you could get a better idea of the end result. So make sure you hang out towards the end so you can see how this all turned out, because not everything turned out the way that I had anticipated it to turn out. So as you can tell, that one really held its shape very nicely, and it's a little bit duller on the color. However, that glitter, that glitz is still shining through. So I really liked it. This one is Golden Rose, and I'm going to mix it up as it is intended to mix up with the glaze this time, not the glitz. And I'm going to run it through another kind of semi-detailed stencil. I don't know if you would call it that. There's smaller spaces that need to be filled versus some other stencils. But for this one, I'm noticing that it's not really changing the color of the glaze. It is changing the texture, which is what I want it to do. For this next one, I wanted to do a really pretty fall type background, and I'm blending through these colors by Simon Hurley. This is clearly a warm background. The mixed media paper, the watercolor paper that I'm using, really blended these nicer than I had anticipated. There's no super harsh lines, so I really like this paper. I think it's 110-pound cardstock as well. There is a tooth to it, super absorbent, and it really held up all the beatings that I put it through. And I really ran this paper through the gamut. And as you can tell, that's just a really lovely ombre type background. And so from here, I'm going to take another new paper Glitz, and I want to run it through a semi-detailed stencil. So I want to pull in that enhancer again because I don't want it to bleed too much. And you'll see why when you see the stencil that I have chosen. Again, I'm giving it a nice stir. So if you guys get these, really make sure that you give them a really nice stir just to get that glitter back on through the paste. I think in the shipping process and the storage, it settles at the bottom, which is okay. You just have to give it a really nice stir. And again, I'm just using this with that enhancer because I want it to really keep its shape when I run it through this woodsy type stencil. next up is this beautiful new line. It is the Ombre line. So these are 3 coordinating colors. You have a light tone, a mid-tone, and a darker tone. So I'm going to use this in a little bit of a different way. Again, I'm just playing with this. There are so many different variations that you can do. But for me, I wanted to try to paint a background with this. So I'm going to just take my brush and pull a little bit of that lighter color in, as well as that darker color. Just gonna mix it together here, and you'll see how awesome this is. If you wanna do a watercolor background with the paste, you totally can. All you have to do is spritz it down with some water. Make sure that you stir it really, really well. And I'm putting it on like you would a typical wash. And it looks really pretty. And then I go back through and I'm like, I kind of want to punch in some color, give it a little bit more interest, and I just start to pounce my brush all over that background, which is exactly what I'm looking for because I want to create a winter type background. Now it's dry, super shiny, and we're ready to go in with our next color. For this one, I am going to splat it on, which is another technique. If you want to put it in a little mister bottle, you totally could. You would just add some of your glaze, water it down, add water, shake it really well to blend it up. And you can really control the type, how much of an intensity it is, how dark, how light it is, based on how much of the glaze you put in your water bottle. Now, I would not recommend that for the glitter, because you will definitely clog up your water bottle and your nozzle. So it wouldn't work with that, but it does work nicely with the glaze. For this, I just added, again, that enhancer because I want this to go on relatively thick and hold its shape. And you'll see just how awesome this turns out. This background was created entirely with my paper glazes in this Ombre collection. So that's what I love about these. And you guys, just a little background. These paper glazes, I know that there are other products on the market that resemble them, and I do like other products that do the same thing because there's different colors and things like that that maybe you can't find all in one company. But Picket Fences was my very first experience with these glazes, so I am partial, and they work beautifully. And it was not only was it my first experience with the glazes, but it also was the first time that I learned that you can really stretch a product using it in unintended ways. You can paint with this, you can mist with this, you can splatter with this, you can clearly now add some that enhancer to make it more of a texture type paste instead of just a glaze to run through a stencil, or you can run it through a stencil and keep it really loose. So sky is the limit with this. This next background that I'm using, that stencil is actually also from Picket Fences. I'm kind of mixing the glaze and the glitz. So I'm putting the glaze on the two sides of this stencil on this card front, right? Then in the middle, I'm going to go in with the glitz, and you're going to see the difference in thickness and how it holds its shape when I do this, because the glitz is the same color base as that glaze is, which I really like. I love that they have colors that go together in both of the lines, and I think that that's super cool. So again, I'm really, really stirring that up, making sure that I get that glitter all the way through. And I'm playing, you guys. I'm playing, okay? So this isn't all planned out, right? I'm just playing. That's what you're seeing. I'm experimenting for you so you don't have to. And so anyway, when I go ahead and I lift this up, take a look at the difference in these trees. You see that? Still really, really pretty, but definitely different. And I do kind of like that gorgeous glittery centerpiece. So for this one, I am going to just create a really pretty background, and I am doing that watercolor type technique, mixing in that water, and I think that that's carnation. And I'm going to create a background that would be perfect for a baby shower, a wedding, Easter, or spring. If you like pastel-y, this is it. This is pastel that shines, but I'm not entirely happy with this right off the bat, so I have to play with it a little bit more. So for this one, I had to dig deep and go way back into my stash to find this stencil. This stencil is from a kit club that I first joined, which was called Scrap Goods. You can't even find it anymore. I'm pretty sure that this stencil is over 15 years old, but I wanted to take and use a warm base, which is this bee sting, and then cover it up with a cool glitz color. I noticed that the glitz is a little bit looser than the glaze, and I just wanted to see how it would layer on top of this warm. Would it mix? Will it give me purple? Will it sit right on top of it? Will it work more of like you can see the red through it, but it doesn't blend? How will this work? Watch and see. watch this card come together, I just want to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. If you enjoy videos like this where we experiment with new products, you learn new techniques, you see unboxings, anything like that, I am your girl. That's what I do. My whole goal in doing my YouTube videos is to give you guys confidence to do your own art. I know that it can be intimidating. I know that there are a lot of professional crafters out there, and after you watch their videos, you're like, I can't do that. But that's not what art and crafts is about. Art and crafts is about just playing. And in that time, you will discover things about yourself and hopefully enjoy the process as well as what you create. I think it's a great outlet for staying mentally healthy. And I really want you guys to know that if I can do it, by no means am I a professional artist or crafter, that you can do it too. So if you're into that, if you want to feel inspired, know that you can do this. I'm your girl. And if you have any questions or comments, you guys know, well, if you're new, you don't, but you can ask those that are that have subscribed to my channel. Please leave them down below. I love to interact with you guys. And then if you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think would enjoy learning about everything I have to share, or like everything on this video. Anyone who is looking at these paper glazes or glitz or wants to get into a different medium, please share it with them, and hopefully they can be inspired, learn something, and feel good about what they're creating. All right, so for this one, I'm creating a layered type technique using that glaze at the end on that last stencil, on the layer B stencil. I first obviously laid some color out and I'm building. So I am being respectful of my color families as I do this technique, more so for the ink than anything else. And this one, you guys, this card base ends up being one of my favorites. So make sure you stick around to the end when I go over all of them and I show you what they look like after they've had a night to set up, because I'm telling you, some of the results on this really were shocking. And as I was doing this, yeah, I liked it, but when I got done, I was like, But the next day, maybe it was a fresh pair of eyes looking at it. Maybe it was that it finally dried. I don't know. But I really, really loved it. Back playing with another ombre mix. These are some beautiful greens. For this one, I am going to create more of an ombre background. I actually don't love what I do at first, and I had to start over at one point, but I end up coming up with a solution, and I wanted to put some brush strokes in it. And I did that because I wanted to see if it would hold those brush strokes the next day, or if they would fall out as the whole thing dried. So I am going ahead and just using all of the glazes to create this background, and then I do run it through a stencil after it dries to see how that stencil lays over the texture that I created with the brush strokes. Like, does it take on the brush strokes so you can see it on the, like, you can see it popping up through the stenciled images, or is it able to hold its own? right, for this one, I hadn't tried this new paper glaze color out yet, so I wanted to just do a tone on tone type background, and Bee Sting I thought matched it beautifully. So I just decided that I wanted just to do something kind of straightforward, and this is actually paper glitz, not the glaze. I misspoke. I gotta be real with y'all. I have been working on this for about 7 hours. I'm not kidding. That's how long I played. And I was getting to the end of my day and I was tired. But I knew that I had 3 more of these that I had to try out. And so I decide just to throw them all on this background. And I really like how it turned out. It's kind of fun. So you're going to see me throw all 3 of these on the background. You kind of get to that point in your creative journey from time to time where you get so wrapped up in what you're doing, you want to finish it, but you're kind of no longer inspired. So you just go through the motions to get it done. And that's okay. That's part of the process. Don't ever feel bad for doing that. A lot of content creators and designers don't want to say that, but it's true. We all hit a wall and it's like, I just want to get done. You're mission focused. And so there you go. So this is me just getting it done. they look like once they're all dried to give you a really good idea. I know that this video was long. Thank you so much for sticking with it. My whole intention on playing with these is showing you a couple different ways that you can use them and maybe give you a better idea of what ones in the line you might enjoy more so than others. So I just wanted you to have a better estimation of which ones you'd want, so you're happy with your purchase if you decide to do it, and also get an idea of how these work. This is awesome. I love how this works on this black paper. This is that first one I did. I think these might be out of order now, but we'll just go with it. I love how this one turned out. Look how pretty that is. Now this is that first one that I did with just the glitz itself. I can definitely make a tag out of this, and then when I added in that paper, the paper Glaze Enhancer, which, you know, I think it works okay too with the glitz. It dulls it a little bit, but it still sparkles. It just kind of makes it a little bit more matte of a finish, not so shiny, but it really helps hold that shape nicely. So both of these will be used. Obviously, everything will be used. I love this one. That's such a pretty one. And I think that was with a golden rose, I think. And then this one, I wasn't so sure how it would turn out, not because I didn't like how the glitz laid, but the stencil, I was kind of concerned about that, but I really like how it turned out. I think it does look like it's in the woods. So I think that this is going to be another Halloween one. And then this one, we use the 3 colors, and it's really subtle and beautiful. I can see this for a baby shower card. I can see it for a wedding or an Easter or a spring card. I think that the colors on here are beautiful, subtle, lovely. I love what the back looks like after I had painted it on and it's dried. So pretty. And then this one was that, the Ombre one, the blue Ombre one. I think it was the sky. Really like how that turned out. Turned out so pretty. And then this is a good example of how the glaze and glitz lays differently. As you can tell, the glaze has a little bit more structure where the glitz is a little bit more loose. But it sure is pretty. And then this was just the glitz over the ink that I used by Simon Hurley. And you can see some of the color through on some of the area, but it holds its color pretty well. This one's really pretty. This is the Ulta New, and I really paid attention to my color family on this, and I just built this up. I love how this one turned out. And then again, this is the Ombre. This was that green one. This turned out really nice too. Really pretty. And then this one, another one. I think I used the enhancer on that, and it held the shape of the roses really nice. And then last but not least, I'd use 3 of them on here. This held really good, this glitz here. And it was like the lime glitz, the Christmas lime glitz. And then same color, only just the glaze and then the glaze here. So pretty happy with how these all turned out. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Also, I do have all of the glitzes and the glazes that I used listed in the description box, as well as the mixed media spatula that I used, and then also the ink. I don't have any of the stencils listed simply because this one, like, you can't even find anymore. And I really want you guys to, like, use what you have on hand. If you want to know a particular stencil that I used, please, please, please just leave it in the comments and I'll get you a direct link to it. Or if I can't find one, I'll let you know that I can't find one. But I hope that this gave you some ideas with how to use these and you enjoyed it all. I was going to say something else and now I can't. Oh, I hope that you also, like with this, you can also tell how great the enhancer works and, you know, when to maybe not use the enhancer, when to use the enhancer. I'm going to use this enhancer when I am working with detailed stencils. The more detailed stencil it is, the more I think it needs a little bit more structure. Clearly on this one didn't have the enhancer, worked out beautifully. So until next time, I'm Beth Golden. Happy crafting.